It started with a group chat, the one we always used for family holidays. Every year since I can remember, Christmas had been our thing. Matching pajamas, bad karaoke, too much food, not enough patience. This year, my sister Amy was hosting, or more accurately, coordinating everything from her phone while everyone else did the work. The first message hit me like a snowball to the face. Amy, hey guys, just confirming head count for Christmas at the cabin. Adults only this year, no kids. Let's make it relaxing for once. I stared at my screen, half expecting someone else to question it, but the messages that followed made my stomach twist. Mom. Sounds perfect. Dad. Finally some peace and quiet. Amy's husband, Mark. We'll bring the wine. No one said a word about my two kids, Emily 8 and Noah 5, who had spent every Christmas running around that cabin, leaving cookie crumbs and laughter behind. I typed, "Wait, so my kids aren't invited?" Amy replied instantly. "It's not personal. We just want an adult vibe this year. You understand, right?" I just stared at the blinking cursor. Then I typed 2 words. Understood. That was it. I told my husband, Jason, what happened. He laughed. The kind of tired laugh that comes from years of watching me bend over backward for people who never appreciated it. "Babe," he said softly, "maybe this is the year you stop trying." That night, I lay awake thinking about all the times I'd covered for Amy. The time she forgot to buy gifts for our parents, and I let her slap my name on the tag. The time she forgot to pay her half of the Airbnb deposit last year, and I told Mom it was a bank delay, while quietly paying her share myself. This year's cabin, that same Airbnb reservation was still under my account. When Amy suggested the location back in October, she'd sent me the listing and said, "You're better with tech, can you just book it? I'll pay you back next week." She never did. I'd paid the full amount. $1,850. At the time, I didn't care. It was family. Now, staring at her adults-only message, I suddenly cared a lot. For a few days, I stayed silent. Watched the chat fill up with dinner plans, gift exchanges, outfit themes. They even joked about bringing board games to relive the good old days. The same good old days they'd just kicked my kids out of. A week before Christmas, Amy sent me one last message. "Hope you're not upset. You and Jason can come for New Year's instead." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the Airbnb app, clicked Manage Reservation, and stared at the Cancel Booking button. Then something inside me shifted. Not anger, not revenge, just clarity. They wanted a Christmas without me and my kids? Fine, let them have it. I clicked Cancel, confirmed, and watched the screen flash. "Your reservation has been successfully canceled. A full refund will be processed to your account." That night, I tucked Emily and Noah into bed. Emily asked, "Are we going to the cabin this year?" I smiled and said, "No, honey. This year we're having Christmas right here, just us." Jason kissed my forehead and whispered, "Good for you." For the first time in years, I felt light. Like I'd finally stopped begging to be included in a family that never saw me anyway. 3 days before Christmas, I was sitting on the couch wrapping gifts with Emily when my phone started lighting up, nonstop. The family group chat was blowing up like fireworks. At first, I ignored it, but then Jason, who was scrolling through his own phone, said, "You might want to see this." Amy had sent a long, frantic message. What the hell happened to the Airbnb? "It's gone. The owner says the reservation was canceled and refunded." Then Mom chimed in. "I just got off the phone with her too. She said it was under your account, honey. Did something go wrong with your card?" I bit my lip to hide a smile. Jason looked at me with that quiet smirk, the one that said, "You finally did it." I typed, "Oh right. That was my reservation. I canceled it after we were uninvited. Must have slipped my mind to mention it." Then I locked my phone and went back to wrapping presents. It took about 30 seconds for it to start ringing. Mom, then Amy, then Dad. Jason raised an eyebrow. "You gonna answer?" I shook my head. "Nope, I'm gonna enjoy this candy cane in peace." By that evening, the tone in the group chat had shifted from shock to damage control. "Amy, you could have at least warned us. Do you know how hard it is to find a cabin this late?" "Everything's booked!" "Dad, this was childish, you know. Christmas isn't about grudges." "Mom, sweetheart, we can fix this. Just call them back and rebook." "We'll still come." I could practically hear the desperation between the lines. Jason laughed quietly. They thought they could cut you out but still use your money. Classic. He wasn't wrong. I opened the Airbnb app again, checked the refund status, and sure enough, the money was already on its way back to my account. Almost poetic, really. The universe paying me back for years of emotional overdrafts. Still, I wasn't done. I went to my photos, scrolled through a few old Christmas albums, and found one from last year. The whole family around the same cabin's fireplace. My kids sitting cross-legged on the floor, faces glowing in the light. Amy's kids opening gifts they'd barely thanked me for. I posted it to Facebook with a caption that simply said, "This year, Christmas will be small, quiet, and full of love." Turns out you don't need a cabin for that. Just a family that actually shows up. No names, no tags, just truth. Within minutes, the comments started rolling in. My friends, old coworkers, even a couple of cousins who'd stopped talking to me years ago. You always bring the warmth wherever you go. Good for you for setting boundaries. Some people only realize what they had once it's gone. By midnight, Amy had seen it. I knew because she texted me separately. "You're being dramatic. It's just a family trip, not a personal attack." I stared at her message for a long moment before typing back. "You're right. It's not personal. It's just not my problem anymore." Jason laughed out loud when he read it. "You should frame that." The next morning, Mom showed up at our house. No call, no warning. She was wearing her coat but no gloves, holding a tin of cookies like a peace offering. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. Jason nodded politely and took the kids upstairs. Mom sighed and sat down at the kitchen table. "You really hurt Amy's feelings, you know. She was trying to make things simple." "Simple," I repeated. "By excluding my children? She just thought it would be less chaos." "Less chaos or less me?" She flinched. "That's not fair." I leaned back, folding my arms. "Neither is expecting me to fund your trip while my kids sit at home wondering why they're not invited." Mom looked down at her hands. "You've changed." "Maybe," I said quietly. "Or maybe I just stopped apologizing for existing." She didn't have a response to that. When she left, she turned in the doorway and said, "You've made your point, but don't expect anyone to forget this." "I don't," I said. "That's kind of the idea." That night, Jason and I watched the snow fall through the window while the kids decorated cookies. Emily said, "It feels better this way, quieter." I smiled. "Yeah, sweetheart, it does." But something told me the storm in that group chat wasn't over yet, and I was right. Because the next morning, a notification popped up on my phone. Amy had posted something too. "Some people ruin family traditions over nothing. Merry Christmas to everyone who still believes in love and forgiveness." And beneath it, a blurry screenshot of my post. The comments were a battlefield. Some sided with her, others didn't, but I didn't reply. Instead, I just hit share on her post and added one simple caption. "Forgiveness is easy when you've never had to apologize." By noon, she deleted it. By Christmas Eve morning, the family group chat was quiet, eerily quiet. No jokes, no forwarded memes, not even Dad's usual Merry Christmas Eve message. Jason looked up from his coffee. "You think they found another place?" I shrugged, though deep down I knew they hadn't. There weren't many cabins available within 100 miles this late in the season, not unless they wanted to pay triple the price. Still, curiosity got the best of me. I opened Airbnb, typed in the area where the cabin had been, and smiled. Everything was booked solid. "They're probably panicking," Jason said, smirking. "Good," I murmured. "Maybe they'll finally understand what uninvited means." Around noon, Mom called again. This time I picked up. "Hi, sweetheart," she began, in that too-sweet tone that always meant she wanted something. "We're having a bit of a situation." "Oh?" I said, feigning innocence. "Well, the cabin's gone, of course. We tried to book a hotel, but with the storm coming in, everything's full. Amy's freaking out, the kids are crying, and your father's threatening to drive home tonight." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said flatly. "You could just rebook, you know. You got the refund. It wouldn't take long." I paused, letting the silence stretch. Then, "You want me to rebook the cabin? For the trip I was uninvited from?" It wasn't personal, honey. Amy just thought it would be easier without my children. Yeah, I remember. There was a pause. Then Mom sighed. You're really going to let the whole family suffer because of this? I laughed softly. Mom, the family started suffering when you all decided to exclude us. Then I hung up. Jason looked up from the sink. That sounded satisfying. It was, I said. Finally. That night, as snow started to fall harder, Jason and I tucked the kids in early. We lit the fireplace, made cocoa, and sat on the couch watching It's a Wonderful Life. Halfway through, my phone buzzed again. This time from a number I didn't recognize. It was a group text, but not the main one. This one had just me, Mom, Amy, and a few cousins. Amy's message read, We found a last-minute Airbnb, but it's a disaster. No heat, no Wi-Fi, the pipes are frozen. Everyone's miserable. Thanks for ruining Christmas. Before I could respond, one of the cousins chimed in. Wait, wasn't she the one who paid for the original cabin? Then another. Y'all kicked her out and still expected her to pay? That's wild. The typing bubbles from Amy appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. I could practically feel her rage through the screen. Finally, she sent one last message. This isn't about money. It's about family, something she clearly doesn't care about. I took a sip of cocoa, then replied, Oh, I care about family. That's why I'm spending tonight with mine. Then I sent a picture. Me, Jason, and the kids in front of our own little tree. Smiles wide, stockings hung perfectly. Caption, Merry Christmas from the ones who were actually invited. 10 seconds later, Amy left the chat. The next morning, Christmas Day, I woke up to 14 missed calls. Apparently, the replacement cabin had flooded overnight when one of the pipes burst. They had no power, no heat, and no way to reach town because the road was iced over. Dad's truck wouldn't start. Jason laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. It's like the Grinch stole their karma. I tried not to gloat. I really did. But when Mom texted me, We're freezing. Please, can you send money for a hotel? I couldn't help it. I replied simply, Sorry, I don't fund adult-only trips. Jason nearly choked on his drink. Around noon, the snow let up. We went outside with the kids, built a snowman, and took photos. The air felt different, lighter somehow. Emily threw a snowball at me and giggled. Mom, this is the best Christmas ever. And for once I believed her. No fake smiles, no tight-lipped tension around a dinner table, no pretending I wasn't hurt. Just laughter, just us. But the peace didn't last long. When we came back inside, I checked my phone, and there it was. Amy had posted on Facebook again. Some people let bitterness ruin the holidays. Hope you're proud, sis. Underneath, a picture of their miserable group crammed into the broken-down cabin, wrapped in blankets. Within minutes, mutual friends started commenting, and not the way she'd hoped. Wait, didn't she pay for your cabin last year? So you kicked her out and expected her to still pay? That's cold. Maybe next year try inviting everyone instead of playing favorites. The thread exploded. By evening, Amy had deleted the post entirely. And for the first time in a long, long while, I didn't feel guilty. Not for standing up for myself, not for canceling the cabin, and definitely not for spending Christmas with people who actually wanted me there. As the kids went to bed that night, Jason turned to me and said, You know, you could have just said no. But you didn't. You took back your peace. I smiled. Peace isn't given, Jason. It's reclaimed. He grinned. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Noted, I said, laughing softly. But in the back of my mind, I knew this wasn't over. Amy hated losing control. And next Christmas, she'd probably try something again. What she didn't know was that this time I'd be ready. A few weeks after New Year's, I got a text from Amy. It was short. We need to talk. Family dinner next weekend. Mom says you should come. I stared at the screen for a while before replying, Sure, I'll bring dessert. Jason raised an eyebrow when I told him. You really want to go? I shrugged. Let's just say, I want to see what kind of show they're planning. The following Saturday, I walked into my parents' house with a pie in one hand and my guard fully up. Amy was already there, wearing that polished smile she saves for when she's about to lie through her teeth. Hey, she said, voice syrupy sweet. You look good. Thanks, I replied. You look cold. Pipes still frozen? Her smile twitched. Touché. Mom rushed over, clearly nervous. Let's just have a nice dinner, okay? No drama. Of course, I said. I'm all about peace these days. We sat down at the table, the same one where last Thanksgiving had ended with tears and accusations. The air was thick with fake politeness. Halfway through the meal, Dad cleared his throat. So, he said, looking from Amy to me, your sister has something she wants to say. Amy set down her fork. Right, so I just want to apologize for what happened at Christmas. Things got out of hand, and I might have said some things that came across wrong. Might have? I asked, raising an eyebrow. She forced a laugh. Okay, fine, I was wrong to uninvite you, but we were all stressed, and it wasn't personal. It was personal, I said quietly. You singled out my kids and made it sound like they were the problem. Amy waved her hand dismissively. They're great kids, you know that. It was just supposed to be an adult trip. I leaned forward. Then why were your kids there? She froze. That was different. Mom jumped in. Girls, please. Let's not ruin dinner again. I smiled calmly. No one's ruining dinner, Mom. I just want clarity. Then I turned to Amy. You invited everyone else, used my money for the booking, and then tried to guilt me for canceling it. Now you're saying it was all a misunderstanding? Amy's voice rose. You humiliated me in front of the whole family. Everyone thinks I'm selfish because of your little stunt. Jason leaned back, crossing his arms. You mean the stunt where she didn't fund your exclusive vacation? Amy glared at him. You weren't even supposed to be part of this conversation. Jason smiled. I wasn't supposed to be part of last Christmas either, remember? The table went silent. I took a deep breath. Amy, I didn't humiliate you. You did that yourself. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences. Mom sighed. Can't we just move past this? I looked at her, really looked at her. The tired eyes, the forced smile, the years of tiptoeing around Amy's moods. No, Mom, not this time. I stood up, reached into my bag, and pulled out a small stack of papers. Jason smirked. Here we go. I slid the papers across the table toward Amy. Since we're being honest, here's the breakdown of all the trips, dinners, and events I've paid for in the last 5 years. Funny how it always comes out of my account. Amy's face went pale. What is this? Receipts, I said evenly. You like to call me dramatic, but the numbers don't lie. Every holiday, every shared expense, I was footing the bill. Even the Airbnb you said I ruined. Dad looked shocked. Is that true? Amy stammered. We all pitch in sometimes. I cut her off. No, I pitch in. Everyone else forgets their wallet. The silence was thick enough to slice. Then I added softly, this isn't about money anymore. It's about respect, and I'm done paying for people who don't value mine. I picked up my purse. Dinner was lovely, but I think I'll head out. You can keep the pie. As I walked to the door, Amy blurted, You're so petty, you know that. No wonder you're always alone. I turned back slowly. Alone? I spent Christmas surrounded by people who love me. My husband, my kids. You spent it freezing in a cabin full of people pretending to like you. Tell me again who's alone. Her jaw tightened. Jason stood and followed me out, hand resting gently on my back. Before we stepped outside, I glanced over my shoulder one last time. Mom looked torn, Dad looked ashamed, and Amy looked small. Not because I'd embarrassed her, but because she'd finally run out of excuses. We drove home in silence for a while, the headlights cutting through the cold winter dark. Jason finally said, You handled that better than I would have. I smiled faintly. I didn't do it to win. I just wanted her to know I wasn't playing the same game anymore. He nodded. Think she'll change? Maybe, I said. But even if she doesn't, I did. We pulled into the driveway, our porch light glowing softly in the snow. The kids were at my mom's for the night, and for once the house felt calm, peaceful. Jason turned to me. You're really done with them, aren't you? I thought for a moment. Not done, just done letting them walk over me. He smiled. That's fair, I laughed. It's overdue. Later that night, as I curled up on the couch with a cup of tea, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mom. I'm sorry for not standing up for you sooner. You were right. Love you. Then, a minute later, another message. From Amy. I still think you overreacted, but thanks for not making it worse. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I set my phone down, took a deep breath, and stared at the fireplace, the flames soft and steady. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the next holiday drama, the next insult to swallow, or the next guilt trip to navigate. I'd found something far better. Peace. The kind that doesn't need anyone else's permission.